So we have this little patch of Lucerne outside of the area where the people eat, and I quickly want to show you what we're going to change. So you see, it exploded almost now with the rain. You have some patches that's very dense. Now then you have patches like this that almost nothing grows, and then you have the pathways. Now the pathways, believe it or not, I had wheelbarrows and wheelbarrows of manure dumped in here, and it was all taken away by termites, or something else, but probably most likely termites. The only thing that remained is sticks. So in 6 months this was probably about 15 centimeters high at least everywhere, and all the compost has been taken away and replaced with soil and flattened out. Anyway, so a friend of mine came to have a look, or came to visit my farm and see the water structures and so on, and he advised me to say I'm wasting loads and loads of water here. Drip irrigation is a problem because of our pressure. All of our other irrigation methods are a problem, so he's sending me some things that I can do that will work with low and high pressures, because our pressures in our water lines varies. And then he said I should plant in areas like this, and then plant the pathways, only leaving a pathway big enough for 2 feet next to one another, but every single space where there isn't a plant, I should get the soil loosened, get some fertility in there, and plant Lucerne. So that is what we'll be doing over the next couple of days. But for this morning, I quickly want to show you how we're going to cut to dry, and how much we get out of this little patch. This then feeds horses, chickens, ducks. You can feed almost anything on Lucerne. So a patch like this is worth a lot if you handle it better than what we do. Okay, so this is what we got. There's still a little bit on there that we're gonna cut off, but this is basically what we have. There's some grasses in there as well. Most of the weeds that we could find, we chopped and dropped them only. We left them there, we chopped them off and we dropped them there. Spreading it out a bit fine, and then we'll be leaving it here for a couple of days to dry, and then we can use that for various sorts of things. Now the people at Agra get a lot of flack for not wanting to work, just sitting around every day. But this is the red car coming in on the left. You can see I asked my sister-in-law to take some footage. You can see how these guys are trying to force their way on the left side, on the right side as we're watching now, left side of the car. And before I arrived, I locked the doors, started negotiating, tried to find the ones that I already know, and then let those people into the car. These people really want to work, and I'm very thankful that since my channel blew up, I can basically almost now every day employ 4 extra people of them. So they open the door, the 3 that I chose gets in, and then the other ones walk away peacefully. But it's almost a real fight for them to get in and try to find work to feed their families every day. The very first thing that the people are doing today, the day laborers, is collecting the weed Datura. Now Datura, gee vir my enetjie. Just want to show you quickly. Looks like this. It's got a poisonous seed. Now I was under the impression that it had a allelopathic properties. However, with the research that we've been doing, lots of reading, I was under the impression, because there was a comment saying that. I could not find any proof either in nature where I can observe it, that it's killing the plants around it, and I couldn't find enough evidence online to suggest that. So what we'll do is we'll take it as a gift from nature, use it as mulch first on our places that's heavily termite infested, and see whether the termites eat them or not. That way we might have a termite resistant mulch, which would be a nice thing to have here. Quickly want to show you, while we're walking in the river, what our river weir looks like at the moment. So There's a lot of Lucerne seeds that washed down from the garden rubbish rubble that I placed in here, and they are sprouting very well. I am under the impression that this is going to become a Lucerne wall, Lucerne wall. You can maybe check the moisture as well. Here you can see the termites are hard at work, already eating the new things that washed up. But you can also see how high the moisture content is in the soil here still, and it's been many days since it's been raining here. Moisture content is still less than just a scratch into the soil. You have moisture. And as lunch rolled around, we started counting worms that we sold, and so let me show you quickly. Moremi. So there's about 700 worms, or almost exactly 700 worms, counted one by one in here. While we were counting worms, we also, for clients, we also decided to take a lot out and put it in the new worm farm. Now the worm farm isn't as decomposed as I wanted it to be, but I'll show you now how we started. We've been neglecting this patch now for a month or so since we started it. Basically just dumping worm castings on it, horse manure on it, and hoping that the rain would be enough to keep it wet and decomposed. The rain didn't do its job completely, but it's also partly our fault. See, lifting the sides up a little bit like we're doing now would have kept all the rain inside, and then at some stage we wanted to make it rain where we can harvest the worm compost. So we're lifting the sides up a little bit now, and then we are going to start with the worms. Let me show you. So those are about 700 worms, yeah, just here, that we're gonna put right here. We'll wet it nicely, and then we'll put the shade cloth over the top. Now this is one of the reasons, you see this little sprayer here, is one of the reasons why we neglected things that needed water, because our pressure isn't great, and then during the night sometimes it picks up to such an extent that it bursts the pipes. We've replaced 2 or 3 pipes in the last while. Now we don't mix it in because the worms will find their own way down. What's going to happen on these areas where it's not decomposed completely is it will become very hot inside. So the worms will have a nice home there where they can hide, and then as soon as it cools down, when it cools down around them, then they can start exploring. Now I really do think it's going to be worth your while to subscribe, so you can see how fast these 700 worms will turn this worm pile to a proper compost heap. We will not be adding that much more manure. We'll probably only add a wheelbarrow there, and then we'll keep it moist for the next 2 or 3 months, and then I believe all of this will turn into a very dark compost. Okay, so that's the last side that we're picking up, and then the shade net we're gonna put some bricks on just to keep it up, and that will just protect the worms for the time being from the birds and things. What we didn't take into account when we moved it here is that it's much further away from the house, and thus we might have a little bit more things eating worms. We'll see. I saw 2 mice in the food forest yesterday. The dog killed 2 baby mice, and then the mom was actually running around frantically trying to fight the dog, and then she ended up running into the bush. But point being is there's a lot more things here that can eat the worms, so we'll just give them a little bit more protection. Now I've mostly been at work during the day, but this is the swale that the guys been working on. On that side of these gullies they actually look okay. I think if we get our first rain we might fill up that gully. This one not yet. We'll have to fix the swale between the 2 gullies first, but we might fill up that gully with water already, and then we are focusing on this side now. That is the end of my story for today. Thank you so much for everybody's support and for watching, and remember to subscribe. I will see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.